Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Noel, here giving a quick reaction to what we've just seen from the OVO Hydro Arena in Glasgow, Scotland, as ESSUMAN has produced the biggest win of his career and a big upset to defeat the hometown hero and former undisputed world champion at super lightweight Josh Taylor via unanimous decision after a really entertaining fight. Yeah, in Scotland, done so well to earn a decision win in Glasgow, but he absolutely earned it. Well-deserved victory. Yeah, Esserman was seen as a stepping stone tonight for Josh Taylor. You know, Taylor, as I say, former undisputed champion at 140, stepping up now to 147, and Esserman was seen as a stepping stone, to be honest with you, to future big fights at welterweight. One last chance, kind of at a world title crack for Josh Taylor at welterweight, and Esserman was seen as kind of a gentle enough introduction to the weight class, but Esserman definitely didn't read the script and he tore up the script tonight in Glasgow. Absolute credit to him, a really brilliant performance from the English fighter in enemy territory to get it done. Yeah, as I say, Taylor coming in as a big favourite, although he's seen as kind of past his best after losses to, well, a highly disputed win against Jack Catterall. You know, first time out, then he lost to Teofimo Lopez quite convincingly. No shame in that. Lost a close fight to Jack Catterall in the rematch. And it was seen, as I say, as a last chance saloon now up at 147 for Josh Taylor. Still clearly talented, but 34 years of age and you know, as I say, seeing us past his best, and maybe he moved up too late. I think he did, to be honest. But we'll kind of discuss that later on in this video. But you know, he was a big favourite against EKOW, and probably rightly so. You know, well warranted favourite with the bookmakers. But Esserman turned up and gritted it out and produced a performance of a lifetime to dig out the best win of his career. It was a fight of two halves, really. This one, Esserman, or Taylor, I should say, started the fight first half, showing his levels, showing the difference in kind of hand speed, IQ, versatility, shot selection, footwork. Esserman just couldn't kind of live with the speed and the level changes and the IQ of Josh Taylor, you know, proven world class, undisputed operator. And he was outboxing Edgar Esserman early on. Then ESSUMAN took control. To be honest with you, he really did. You know, he fought like it was the biggest fight of his life. Absolute credit to him. He stepped up. He took the fight to Taylor. He knew he wasn't going to outbox him. He became the aggressor. You know, he fought brilliantly on the front foot. That right hand was the money shot for him all night. You know, the right hand seemingly couldn't miss at times. Absolute sharpshooter with that right hand, and yeah, he just stepped up the pace and eventually he set a pace that Josh Taylor couldn't live with, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, and as I say, as the second half started to kind of grow, as the fight started to get into the second half, Taylor showed every sign of being kind of 34 years old after a long career. He hasn't had many fights as a pro, but he's had a long enough career, you know, and the signs of kind of staying at 140 for too long showed, as Esserman showed a superior engine, you know, superior volume punching. The output of Esserman was really the clincher in this one, as I say, as well as the right hand. Yeah, he fought an absolute excellent fight, the best I've ever seen Esserman fight in this. And when he needed to, you know, when he needed to most, he dug it out and got it done. I'm very surprised. Well, not very surprised, but I'm surprised that kind of in such a close fight that he got the decision in Glasgow. But I'm glad because, you know, credit to the performance, you know, it warrants the praise. You know, it's well deserved after that performance that he does get the decision. So to go to Glasgow and beat Josh Taylor on points, as Jack Catterall will tell you, is no mean feat whatsoever. You know, you really have to put on a performance of a lifetime, and Echo Esserman done that. So absolute credit to him. He made a mockery of the bookmakers' odds. He made a mockery of a lot of our predictions before the fight. Yeah, so I'm delighted for Echo Esserman. I really am. He tore up the script tonight, And to be honest with you, he's ended the career of Josh Taylor. To be quite honest, you know, as close as it was and as entertaining as a fight as it was, as I said earlier, Ego Esserman was seen as a stepping stone for Josh Taylor tonight. Josh Taylor, clearly talented fighter, you know, clearly very gifted, but he is definitely past his best. You know, it proved that down the stretch tonight. He showed that he's 34 years old after a long career. You know, he's had a career to be proud of, but as I say, he wasn't blasted out tonight by Echo Esserman. He wasn't dominated, but he shouldn't have been needing 2 goals. He shouldn't have been kind of losing to Echo Esserman and potentially leading 2 goals at a rematch to kind of get one over on him. He doesn't have the time to do that. Yeah, it should have been a win tonight. He had to win and he had to look good, to be honest, against Esselman to prove that he still had one crack left at the world title at 147, and he hasn't proved that. He's lost decisively, and I think that's it. As I say, he's had a career to be proud of. He really has, undisputed champion at 140 pounds, beating top names. You know, beating Baranchik, beating Regis Prograis in that excellent high skill fight in the World Boxing Super Series final, beating Jose Ramirez to go undisputed. You know, undoubtedly the best 140 pounder in the world. Yeah, and maybe just kind of took too long to move up to 147. He found a kind of kryptonite style in Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall would be a kryptonite style for anybody. Horrible night's work for anyone. You know, very lucky to get out with a win in the first fight. Should have moved up after that, in my opinion. It should have been a move up to welterweight. But he just, his pride got in the way and he had to rematch Catterall at 140. You know, if he had moved up after the first fight to 147, I think he probably would have won a world title. You know, I always said Taylor was a star waiting to happen at 147. Always boiled himself down to make 140. I think he would have been a star at 147, but I just think he ultimately left it too late. Um, I really do. I think he should have moved up after the first Catterall fight. You know, done well in the second Catterall fight, but it's clear just the weight cut took it out of him. You know, he was too drained at super lightweight. Which is a shame, but he's had a career to be proud of, and you know the weight was always going to be a problem. You know, with an aging fighter now at 34 years old, even how well he looked at times tonight, and how well I thought he'd do it welterweight. If he can't beat Echo Esman, that's it. That's all she wrote. So I expect Josh Taylor to ride off into the sunset, which is unfortunate. As I say, expecting him to win a world title on 147, but it is what it is. Credit to Echo Esserman. Excellent performance, especially down the stretch, and to win a decision against Taylor in Glasgow. Fair play, you have to tip your hat to that. So, yeah, I suppose just to wrap up, what's next for Echo Esserman? You know, we didn't expect to be discussing what's next for Esserman after this, but he's set himself up now for huge fights. You know, he was always seen as kind of British European level max, but now it could be a world title fight next. Does he win world titles? I don't know. I don't think so. You know, even though the welterweight division is not massively star-studded, you've got Jaron Ennis, who, you know, Esserman has no chance of beating Jaron Ennis. Taylor had really no chance of beating Jaron Ennis. He's a superstar. He's heading for pound number one, in my opinion. You've got Brian Norman Jr., who's improving fight by fight, but I think he'd stop Echo Esserman. You've got Mario Barrios, who's probably the most favourable champion, but you know he has a big fight coming up against Manny Pacquiao. He beats Pacquiao, in my opinion. I just think maybe he might be a bit too gritty, a bit too clever for Echo Esserman, but the fight that makes sense next for Esserman is Jack Catterall if he was to get past Harlem Eubank. You know, that's a fight, the Catterall Eubank winner. You know, it's a good fight. It's a very interesting fight. That I expect Catterall to be too kind of tricky, too slippery, too awkward, and too experienced for Eubank Jr. And then I think Jack Catterall against Edgar Esman. and the winner then gets a world title fight. Of course, Jack Catterall so close before to winning world titles, only to slip up against Barboza. No shame in that, but I think if he was to get past Eubank, if it wasn't a world title fight, I think EKOW ESSUMAN now has really earned that big fight against Jack Catterall if he's not to fight for a world title himself. So yeah, credit to EKOW ESSUMAN there. Excellent performance, especially down the stretch. He's produced the biggest performance of his life when he most needed it in the biggest fight of his life against former undisputed champion Josh Taylor. To basically, you'd imagine end a career of Josh Taylor as he's won via unanimous decision and an excellent fight, a real fight of two halves, but a grueling affair at the Ovo Hydro in Glasgow, Scotland. Yeah, credit to Esserman and probably hats off to Taylor on a fantastic career. But yeah, that's just my quick reaction to what we've seen from Glasgow. Let us know what you think in the comments. What did you make of the fight? How did you score it? Very close fight. Do you think Esserman deserved the nod? Yeah, and what do you think is next? Is it retirement for Taylor? Let us know what you think. Does he have one more run left in him? I doubt it, but let us know. And yeah, what's next for Esserman? Can he beat the likes of a Jack Catterall, Harlem Eubank? Can he kind of challenge for world titles at 147? Make an unexpected tilt at that. Let us know what you think. Get involved down below. We'd really appreciate it. Subscribe. Make sure you drop a like on the video first of all. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBR Boxing and follow us on all social media. And yeah, until next time, take care.